Hey y'all. Okay, let's talk Star Wars. It's been 2 weeks. If you haven't seen it, you suck. You're gonna be very pissed because I'm going to spoil a whole lot of shit in this video. So let's get started. The first, well, I will start by saying that I did enjoy the movie. I was glad that J.J. Abrams was brought back as the director for this installment. He directed the first movie. I don't remember the title of it right now. The Last Jedi. Yes, he directed The Last Jedi. They had a different director come in to do the second one, which I did not like, so I can't even tell you the name of that one. But they brought J.J. Abrams back to direct um, The Rise of Skywalker, the final installment in the trilogy, and I did appreciate him coming back because it did bring back a sense of consistency with the storyline, which the second movie just kind of shit it all over. For those of you who may not be familiar or remember, in the second installment, they killed off Snoke. That's when Kylo Ren killed Snoke, and we had the famous Leia floats through space because we don't even know. They explained it as the Force, but we had never seen her exhibit any type of Force um, power or anything up until that point. I mean, we knew that she was able to use the Force, but they had never shown it or explained anything that she had done up until that point using the Force. But anyway, I digress. Back to the Rise of Skywalker. With the opening of the movie, it was revealed that Emperor Palpatine is still alive. He's been running shit from the background for another generation, I guess. So this motherfucker is like a cockroach. You cannot get rid of Palpatine. He has been around for 3, 4 generations running shit, and he's still here. And now his whole agenda is he wants to be the supreme ruler. Kylo Ren had taken control of the First Order, and now Palpatine is establishing his control and is offering up the Final Order as a supplement to the First Order in order to rule the galaxy. So I had a couple of issues with this. Number one being that I was trying to figure out what the fuck does Palpatine do, or what resources does he have? Because first of all, bitch, he's been alive for 4 generations. And then the revelation also is that Rey is a Palpatine. She's his granddaughter, and he was seeking him out. Well, initially they explained that he wanted Ren to kill her, but long story short, he was seeking her out because she was his granddaughter, and he wanted her to rule the Sith. Um, but if I was Kylo Ren, I would be a mad motherfucker because I had murdered, robbed, and did what I had to do to rise up through the ranks, only to have this motherfucker come out of the woodworks and tell me that he want to take control. And then on top of that, he got like 1,000 Star Killer ships that are basically all the same. They're the equivalent of a Death Star. So if you remember from the original trilogy and even the prequel trilogies, and also the spin-off movie that they did, Rogue One, all referenced or talked about the Death Star in some aspect. The Death Star was a planet-killing weapon that was developed by Darth Vader in order to help him secure control of the galaxy. Well, now Palpatine has popped up and has like 10,000 of these motherfuckers. So, well, we'll say at least 1,000. So my question was, what fucking reason? He must have won a hell of a lottery because you got 10,000 Death Stars. Who is driving these mother? Like, where do you get the people to like? What resources did you have to create all of this over the last 3, 4? Like, they just popped out of nowhere. And then on top of that, Ray is your granddaughter. Where was you fucking? Where did you have time to fucking have kids and grandkids on top of amassing a final order? I mean, it was so fucking outlandish and such lazy storytelling that I couldn't believe it, especially considering that if you are a Star Wars fan, you will be familiar with the novels that came out that featured the characters of Jason and Jaina Solo, who were the twins of Leia Organa and Han Solo. Luke Skywalker also ended up having a kid by a chick, Mara, I believe her name was, but that's neither here nor there. All of that is to say that they already had such rich groundwork laid in terms of a story that I would have preferred them to go that route rather than this weird incestuous. I don't even, you can't really call it incestuous, but whatever this romance they were trying to develop between Kylo Ren and Rey at the end, it just made no sense because um, it seemed like it they would be brother and sister. I mean, Jaina and Jason Solo were brother and sisters. They were twins. They both had a connection to the Force. They had a connection to each other because they were family. Because they were twins. They were both um, the children of a Skywalker, which would explain their connection to the Force. So I just didn't. The Palpatine angle and the Kylo Ren slash Skywalker angle just didn't make any sense to me because they never even explained how Kylo and Ray had a connection. I mean, they gave some BS explanation about, just the power, I guess, of it. And even Palpatine wanted to use them both to resurrect himself. So I just didn't understand the whole motives behind him for the movie. But I'll move past that because that's taking up too much time. Kylo Ren dying at the end of the movie also didn't make sense to me because they had developed this connection between these two characters for the better part of three movies, and then they just killed him off. And then they didn't even get that motherfucker. Usually when they kill off a Skywalker, they always pop up at the end as a ghost. They didn't even get that motherfucker a ghost at the end of the movie. They only showed y'all Luke and Leia. They said fuck Kylo Ren, fuck Anakin Skywalker, fuck Obi-Wan, fuck everybody, fuck Yoda. They didn't but yeah, I talked about it was just a lot of plot holes, lazy storytelling. What else? I talked about Snoke's death not making any sense and his connection to all of this. Like he was just a character that really never even really needs to be introduced if you were just gonna eventually bring back Palpatine at the end anyway. Like why not just have had Palpatine in the first two movies pulling the strings? I mean he's like a fucking cockroach anyway. He's still here, so I mean it just would have made more sense. My boy Finn, I liked the character of Finn. I liked when they introduced Finn. The character got a lot of backlash because he was a black stormtrooper. 2019 people, 2020 people are still mad about characters being black. I mean, you would think in a fucking galaxy that big that there would be black stormtroopers, right? I mean, but I digress. Um, I liked Finn. Um, I didn't understand. They never really developed this connection between him and Ray either because he spent the better part of this whole movie running behind Ray's ass. It was just like they had introduced two other characters for him to potentially be love interest. Asian character from the last movie, she was one of the only things I liked about that movie. And in this movie, they briefly introduced, I can't remember her name, but the black girl at the end who I think they're gonna try to say is Lando's daughter. But anyway, they had these two characters that are could be potential love interests, and he's still running after Ray's ass. Like I didn't understand it, but whatever. What else? What else? What else? The Knights of Ren. Great characters. I love the introduction of those characters. I would have liked to have seen more from them. But they had the combined screen time of about 15 minutes out of the entire movie. They were a foil to Kylo Ren at the end to keep him away from Rey and reaching the Emperor's throne room or whatever. So we never even really got to see them, what their powers were, how they came to be, which I understand because the movie, you only had a certain amount of time to get so much into a 2.5 hour movie. So you can't tell everybody's fucking backstory. But I would have at least liked an explanation of who they were and their connection to Kylo Ren, only for them to be just dismissed at the end of the movie. But I think this movie had a lot of writing issues, a lot of plot holes. They I feel like they make a lot of their characters. They do the same thing that Marvel does with their characters, specifically the X-Men, where they'll make a character so fucking powerful or have so many abilities that in order to push a story that the character becomes too big for the story. Like you can no longer do anything with them. And I feel like that's how Palpatine has gotten. Like it was just like this motherfucker really is God. Like and now he go kill his granddaughter so he can be the king, the queen bee. It's just it was a lot. I give the movie a strong C minus. I say check it out or not. I mean, at this point, who the fuck cares? They've ended the Skywalker storyline, so they say. But I think I would have preferred if they just went in a completely different direction with this latest trilogy. Only because years ago, George Lucas said prior to him selling Lucasfilms to Disney that he wasn't doing any more Walker story, excuse me, Skywalker stories because um, as the creator of the franchise, he said it started and ended with Anakin Skywalker. That was the story. That was the he was the protagonist, and I guess you could say antagonist of the story because it was the story was always about the rise and fall and eventual redemption of Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader. So, with the ending of the Return of the Jedi, Episode 6, I was happy with it. I did like the novels, like I said, with Jana and Jason Solo, but I don't really feel like that needed to be made into a movie. They could have done like a animated series or something, which I hope they maybe still do on Disney Plus or something. But since they no longer are considering anything in the extended universe canon, so that they can continue making these crappy movies Disney is putting out. Um, None of that will probably ever come to light. They may introduce characters as, you know, um, parallels to some of those extended universe characters, but otherwise, that's all we gonna get. So check it out. I also recommend checking out The Mandalorian and the Clone Wars series. Those are two of the better franchises in the two of the better series in the Star Wars franchise right now. So other than that, that's all I have to say about Star Wars. Strong C, check it out. Who the fuck cares? Who doesn't? All right, Chief out.